folks, Tom Garrubba of Echelon Risk and Cyber. It is a Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for another TPRM Tidbit. Over the past 4 months or so, when I've been talking into these tidbits, I've been focusing a lot on the strategic nature of third-party risk management. I'm going to take something a little bit differently and focus on tactical aspects of third-party risk management, something to help benefit actual hardened assessors. Try to get them to think differently with certain domains during a typical assessment. In this stake, I'm going to actually focus here on the importance of returning to performing physical controls assessments. You know, as service providers continue to return their employees to work to the actual office space, it's time to visit those facilities to ensure you're comfortable with the processing environment. You may be surprised at what you may find in this post-pandemic return to the office. By the way, there's a very good bet that your third-party attestations are not opining on what you would see if you actually went in and saw those locations for yourself. Let me give you an example. If you were to actually go into a physical controls assessment, where's the first place they usually like to take you? The data center. Well, guess what? It's the last place I want to go. I've seen hundreds of data centers in my career. They pretty much, for the most part, they're pretty good. They look okay. You go and you do your typical documentation with respect to everything from fire control systems to water detection systems, AC, battery backups, and the like. But I want to see where the processing is being done. And a lot of organizations, when they do physical controls assessments, they miss that critical component. So, I'll give you a story. Years ago, when I was running the vendor assessment program at a particular company, a colleague and I, we were actually in India visiting our critical service providers. And one of our service providers that we were visiting, they took us onto the floor where the processing was being performed. So we went and we looked and we saw 10 to 15 people working on this particular scope of work during the data processing. Looked pretty normal, but there was one thing that I caught that no attestation report ever would have caught. Sitting 6 to 8 feet right across from that team were the support team for my number one competitor. How about that? You think you would get that out of an attestation report? Absolutely not. That's only something that you would be able to catch by going and visiting them on site personally. Okay? So I made the recommendation to management saying that I'm not comfortable with these folks printing to the same printers, using the same resources, and sitting at so close together here. So the recommendation was to have them move to another location where they would not interact and interface on a daily basis with our competitor. And that was taken seriously, and they were moved. Okay? It's the cost of doing business. Okay? Now, as I mentioned to you, think you're going to get that out of an attestation report? Absolutely not. They're not going to look at that. That's the importance of going on site. Now, you might sit there and say, look, Tom, due to budgeting or due to staffing, and time constraints, having to go and do this physically, there are other ways you can do that. One of the great ways that I've seen organizations handle this dilemma is they would even set up a meeting, whether they would send them a GoPro or they would say, hey, let's schedule a call, just walk around with your phone, and they would say, okay, let's start on the outside. Show me the parking lot. Let me see the controls. Let me see the lighting. Let me see the fencing. Let me show me the cameras. Now take me to the lobby. Show me where the security guards are. Show me the log where people have to sign in. Take me through how a badge is issued. Take me into the hallway. Show me the elevators. Show me the stairwells, that there's card access there. Show me. And by having you do that step by step is really beneficial to help you get a better handling over the physical controls there, instead of just having to rely off of a third-party attestation report. And I know one organization, when they do something like this with a GoPro, guess what? They let them keep the GoPro. It's a $200-300 expense to them. Guess what? Save it. When we need to do it again, we'll just simply go through and execute the same type of assessment that we're doing here. Okay? So there's so many different ways you could take this, so many different ways. You got to be creative. And that's one of the beauties of third-party risk management too, is being creative and being able to provide that level of attestation, making sure you're comfortable with the overall controls that you're seeing, and be able to document that and share anything that you identified from a risk perspective with the business unit management or the upper echelons of management within your organization. So I hope this helps. Again, it's a very good idea to start revisiting your physical controls assessments here in a post-pandemic world. And with that, I'd love to hear your comments, love to get some feedback from you. Please feel free to comment below or send me a private email. Love to hear from you. Until next week, my friends, stay warm. Again, Tom Garrubba of Echelon Risk and Cyber with this week's TPRM Tidbit. Cheers, everyone.